I get to introduce two more of our friends here at Benzinga. This is just, it's like a powwow. I love this all day long here. We've got Chloe Aiello, a reporter for the Business News Network Cheddar. Chloe's been on our stage multiple times. Welcome back.
Thank you, Patrick. Good to see you.
Of course. Good to see you. Good to see you. And you get to chat with our good pal Fabian Monaco, yeah?
There he is.
All right. Well, I'll let you guys get right to it. Fabian Monaco, CEO and director of Gage. I'm getting a little feedback here. I don't know if you guys are hearing that too, but just a heads up for our producers. I'll jump off. I'll let you guys get right into it.
Thank you, Patrick. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Fabian Monaco, the CEO and director of Gage Cannabis. Prior to starting Gage, Fabian worked in investment banking with GMP Securities on the team that Canopy Growth, then Tweed Public. Then he joined XIB Financial to help build Canopy Rivers and ultimately Gage. So Fabian, for anyone who's not quite as familiar with Gage Cannabis, give us a quick rundown on the company.
Sure. Thanks, Chloe. We're a vertically integrated operator in the state of Michigan. We are one of the larger vertically integrated operators in the state of Michigan, one of the fastest growing brands in Michigan as well. Again, Michigan is a phenomenal market, one that has caught a lot of people by surprise, I should say, especially in 2020 in terms of its growth, and now even in 2021.
Now, Michigan, as you kind of pointed out, doesn't get quite as much attention as some markets like neighboring Illinois, for example. Why do you think Michigan is an underrated market? Why did you choose this market for Gage?
I think I'll start off with the question. So we chose the Michigan market mainly because we recognized how strong of a medical patient base Michigan had. Michigan had approximately close to 300,000 medical patients before the adult use program came in on December 1st, 2019. And so for us as a company, we kind of recognized that we had this really, really strong medical program since 2008 in Michigan, the caregiver model. And we knew that Michigan was also going to become an adult use state. And we felt that this big, strong, underlying medical patient base was really going to take our company to another level once adult use came into play. And so for us as a whole, again, just a really, really strong market. And then in terms of why it's not getting enough, fanfare, I just don't think there was a lot of, coverage, mainly because there's not a lot of big MSOs or big presence, by the MSOs in the state of Michigan. It's a little different, for them. They're kind of focused on other markets. We want to exclusively focus on Michigan. Michigan was, outside of the top 10 in 2019 in terms of sales, jumped up to number 6 in 2020. Now already at a run rate of 1.8 billion our sales, the third largest run rate in the country, only behind California and Colorado.
Sure, and we'll have to be, continue to watch that as other markets go online, of course. I did want to ask about consumer behavior because the pandemic really has changed things, especially in cannabis. It's no exception. What kind of impact have you seen on your sales trends, and how does that compare with your competitors?
And sorry, guys, this is Patrick just jumping in really quickly. We're hearing just a little bit of feedback. So if either one of you have the YouTube open or the networking platform, just remember to close that window so that will go away. But either way, just go right ahead and power through.
Yeah, I don't. So hopefully that doesn't happen any further.
I don't.
But yeah, no, Chloe. So for
I don't either. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. For us, first off, it was phenomenal for the industry to basically get that huge boost in confidence in terms of how it was received by the general public in the U.S. by, most of the states initially deeming that cannabis was an essential business. The majority have obviously gone that route as well as time. Sorry, it looked like I cut out there. We had that benefit very, very early on in Michigan. As soon as kind of the pandemic hit, it was deemed that Michigan, for Michiganders, as they like to call themselves, cannabis was going to be an essential business. We saw a huge influx in terms of consumption. Frankly, we've seen that consumption maintain. We saw phenomenal growth in the numbers in Michigan, as 2020 progressed, and then more importantly, as this year has started, we're seeing even bigger numbers than what we were seeing previously. And so all in all, we're kind of experienced that same growth at Gage as we brought more and more assets online within our portfolio, whether it be cultivation or retail. We're seeing more and more demand for our product. And I think, Michigan is going to be a force to be reckoned with. It may even compete as the number 2 market exiting this year and kind of jump over Colorado and really only be behind California. It's going to be very, very tough to catch up to California, but I just think the strong consumption habits of the people in Michigan, how much they consume on a per capita basis, is something that's basically at the top of this industry right now, and really going to be, pushing the market in the state forward to really almost being in that number 2 spot. Go back with Illinois, don't get me wrong. Illinois is also showing some great, great promise, but again, a top 5 market guaranteed for this year.
Some folks have said that as we approach reopening, that sales and consumer demand could actually diminish a little bit, as opposed, especially compared to last year. How's Gage going to continue to ensure robust basket numbers continue on?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we boast probably some of the large basket size numbers, average basket size numbers in this industry. 2020 was a $164 basket size, and this is across our retail channels, across the company. In 2020, this is not cherry picked between one store or a certain couple of months. For us, we're seeing consistent demand and similar basket sizes in 2021 as well. I think it's something where, as each and every market in the U.S. continues to grow, as more cultivators come online, as those same cultivators refine their processes, bring better quality, better tasting product to the market, I think you're going to have a scenario where more and more individuals will be getting themselves out of that illicit market purchasing behavior and coming to the legal market. I don't think there's going to be a slowdown coming out of the pandemic whatsoever. I think you're going to see consistent demand not only in Michigan but across the country. It's something that's I think being underestimated, just how big this market can be in the U.S. Mainly because you don't have a lot of information. You can't foresee people are going to be coming from the illicit market and kind of transferring over to the legal market in terms of purchasing habits. But I think as the market continues to have more and more cultivators, as cultivators continue to refine their growing techniques to bring top-notch quality product to the legal market, I think you're going to see the total addressable market here in Michigan and, more importantly, across the U.S. really swell. So I really don't foresee any slowdown whatsoever based on reopening coming out of this pandemic.
And that is absolutely something I've heard from other operators as well. But moving on, Gage went public very recently. What's changed since then? Do you think it has increased brand awareness, unlocked new opportunities, perhaps?
Yeah. So I think for Michigan, it's and more importantly for us to go public, we really wanted to be that beacon for Michigan as a state. We really want to show industry just how strong, just how powerful Michigan can be as a market. For as well, we're not going to stay in Michigan forever. We're branching out. We're looking at other states. We've gone through probably 10 different states over the past 75 days, educating ourselves on the licensing structures there, some of the operators, some of the dynamics at retail and at cultivation, to really see where we want to go next. Being a publicly traded entity, your access to capital, your ability to use your shares now as a currency, companies are more willing to obviously accept, shares in terms of an acquisition consideration when you're a publicly traded entity, and they can actually peg your valuation because they can see it every day, versus being a private entity where you have to almost like argue back and forth as to who should be valued where. For us, we have that on a daily basis. That gives confidence in the people that we're trying to negotiate with for potential acquisitions, not only in Michigan but also outside of Michigan. An easier way to say, okay, if I'm getting this consideration, I feel confident in that. I think you see with a lot of the publicly traded entities, they've been able to grow so fast because their access to capital is pretty much at the forefront of the industry. And so we wanted to take advantage of that. We wanted to take advantage of also the loosening, hopefully, of regulatory reform this year to really help us, elevate to another level in terms of that access to capital, in terms of M&A activity as well.
And you mentioned, M&A outside of the state of Michigan, and I did want to ask you about that. So we've obviously seen a ton of new states approve cannabis legalization in the last 6 months or so. Which markets are you most interested in, and why?
Yeah, so we talked about, or at least I talked about, a couple of locations. Illinois, again, showing great promise. I think Illinois is also going to be a top 5 market. You're seeing competition increase and we've already, had to compete with some of the best operators in Michigan. We're really excited and confident, where we'll go next, and have confidence also that, we're going to be a force to be reckoned with in that given market as well, wherever we go. Again, Illinois, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Maryland, Pennsylvania. These are all phenomenal markets. These are markets that have very similar demographics to Michigan, very similar consumption habits. Again, I'd say Michigan is at the top in terms of consumption habits, but Ohio, sorry, I forgot to mention Ohio is another market we're keenly looking at as a proximity to Michigan, and again, very similar demographic. So there's a variety of markets. As I mentioned, we've been to probably 10 different states over the past 75 days, looking at various opportunities, trying to educate ourselves, as best as possible before we make the next decision where to go next. But overall, we're seeing some phenomenal opportunities, and really much looking forward to continuing to do our homework and potentially executing on something by the end of this year.
Oh, exciting. We'll be watching to see what happens. Now, I want to talk to federal cannabis reform. Obviously, there's been a lot of excitement in this area throughout this year. We obviously have safe banking making its way through Congress. And then we have Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer teasing a much broader legalization bill. Which legislation would you like to see congressional leadership pursue?
So, for us as a company, and I think generally most companies in the industry right now, really would love to see the Safe Banking Act or some form of the Safe Banking Act being passed. Our access to capital, obviously, for a company like Gage now being publicly traded, has obviously improved. But more importantly, I think just access to proper banking, the reduction on the reliance of cash transactions, the ability to potentially uplist, better insurance, for the industry in terms of in terms of coverage and in terms of cost. And then, lastly, potential tax reform as well, that would probably stem from Banking Act passing. I think is just something the industry really needs. I think if you talk to most of the, the executives in this industry, legalization is under their mind. It's probably something they don't even, necessarily lose sleep over right now, or not something that they keenly desire as something that they want to have changed immediately. For us, banking, ability to uplist to a recognized U.S. exchange, tax reform, insurance reform, I should say, with the ability to actually access proper insurance across the board, from D&O insurance to, obviously insurance on the actual assets that we have, would be instrumental to helping grow this industry the way it should be growing. It's funny, you see, some of the numbers coming out of, some of the larger MSOs more recently, phenomenal growth. You'll see some great growth numbers coming out of Gage as well in the coming weeks and the coming months. As a company continue to execute, we're able to grow so fast and so strong in such a brain environment. You can imagine what we can do when we have, tax reform, uplisting to a recognized U.S. exchange, improves the liquidity of our publicly traded stocks generally as an industry, and again has more and more, access to investors as well. There are so many investors on the sidelines right now looking at this industry, envious of the people that can actually, and the entities that can actually invest in this industry. It is one of the fastest growing industries out there. When we fix the custodial issues as well, not even fix them, but potentially not even have to, worry about that issue. We've obviously seen some of the articles and the rumors regarding some of the larger entities that have invested in the space having to wind down, their respective positions in various companies. I think once that all goes away, and I think the Safe Banking Act brings that, helps this kind of small little issues all go away. I think the industry is going to be so strong that a legalization bill is just not something that we need to see today. It's something that we hope would happen sooner rather than later. But again, that Safe Banking Act is just so key for us.
Interesting perspective there. Now, I know we're about out of time here, so I just want to ask you, basic questions. How can people reach you? How can they find more out about Gage Cannabis?
For sure. Yeah, no, for sure. So, gagecannabis.com, very easy to find. If you're looking to obviously purchase our stock, where we trade on the Indian Securities Exchange, we'll hopefully have our OTC ticker soon. I know many have been emailing us and asking us when we're going to get that. It pains me to not have that just yet, but hopefully we'll have that very, very soon. And then, more questions about the company, if you want to talk to anybody about the company, feel free to email us at ir@gageusa.com, gageusa.com, and someone will be more than happy to answer any questions you have about the company.
Great. I think that was ir@gageusa.com. And that, again, is Fabian Monaco, Gage Cannabis CEO and Director. Patrick.
All right, my friends. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And Fabian, I know that we're hearing from Gage a little bit later this afternoon, a full presentation from you. So I'm looking forward to that. Chloe, it's a pleasure as always. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.